Hey guys, welcome back to Party Politics and the American National Government. I'm again your professor, Dr. Weston Jamison. You guys call me Wes. I call you guys awesome. Let's talk about the second part of Party Politics. What I'm going to be focusing on here is a couple things. First of all, how does the party work with becoming elected? In this case, specifically, I'll be talking about how to become the president. So if you guys ever want to become president, this should be your guide. And then secondly, we're going to be talking about why there are only two parties in our entire system. So let's get started. But of course, we're going to start first with, current events. It's finally happened. It's finally freaking happened. Biden has essentially locked up the Democratic nomination. Explain to me why, I do not know. But as of this morning, Wednesday, April, 8th? It's Wednesday, April 8th. Biden has officially locked it up because Bernie has quit. He has given up. The man with the dream of a revolution has stopped and decided to throw in the towel. Which, sure, maybe his ideas were a little out there, but I am so scared of what's going to happen in these debates. I just don't think they're going to be as interesting. I think to a certain extent, Trump will run right over Biden. But of course, we'll have to wait and see. We'll probably see those in maybe July, starting in July and August. But until then, we have a few months of being locked in our homes and just thinking about what it's going to be. And I'm interested to see if Trump can make Biden, stumble over his words. I don't think that would have happened with Mr. Bernie Sanders, who, while he is kind of old and his heart was, giving him some problems, the man was sharp. I'm not sure that Biden is as sharp as Bernie, but I guess we'll have to see and see how it goes. I've yet to receive my Trump bucks. I have not received my Trump bucks. Where's my $1,200, sir? Here's the thing. You guys know how I feel about the government just giving Americans money. I think it's an extremely dangerous thing to do in terms of inflationary outcomes. Like, what happens if they just keep giving us this money? And this money is apparently just coming out of thin air. So, I'm worried about what if loaves of bread cost $30? What if cans of tomatoes cost $7 or $8? These things frighten me. But in the short term, Americans are really needing this money. And that's fair. That's fair. That's 100% fair. It's not the fault of the Americans or any corporation or even the president for that matter that this whole thing has happened, COVID-19. But this came over the news this morning. Pelosi and Schumer, they are the leaders of the Democratic Party. They are also wanting to push through an interim emergency relief bill. They're talking about things like $500 billion to be passed this week. That's even more money that literally is coming out of thin air. But not only that, if you read right here, I'll just read this briefly. After we pass the interim emergency legislation, Congress will move to pass a CARES 2 Act that will extend and expand the bipartisan CARES Act. Remember, that act was $2.2 trillion. Now we want to add another $500 billion to that, which looks like it'll be passed this week. And what if the second CARES Act, let's just keep it, and this is a long shot, but let's just keep it the exact same as what it was in CARES 1. That's another $2.2 trillion. We're now talking about pretty close to $4.5 trillion in 1 month. In 1 month. Keep in mind, I know I've told you guys this last time, but the entire budget of the federal government in 2019 was $4.4 trillion. So we've essentially matched our 2019 budget in 1 month. And we still have another 8 months to go. So, who knows what's going to happen? Maybe this thing ends in May and we just get to go back to our lives. The thing is, this money will end up as debt. We will be paying it, of course, through our tax dollars, but our children will end up also paying it, probably for the rest of their lives too. What will this do to our economy? What will this do to our future? These are questions I have serious thoughts about. Speaking of COVID-19, This guy, he used to work under the CDC. He worked in the CDC under Obama a few years back. He is claiming that we'll be stayed locked down, as a matter of fact, for another 12 to 18 months. That is frightening. Absolutely 100% frightening. How am I supposed to stay in my house for another 18 months? This cannot happen. Our economy is so reliant upon us consuming and making things and going to work that us staying in our homes for 18 months is terrifying. Well, okay, let's cut it in half. What if it's another 6 months? What if it's 6 months? Do you think the American economy can hold together for another 6 months if none of us are working? This is one of those things that it might be just an outrageous headline. There are some people in LA, for instance, the mayor of LA, the second largest city in the United States, has said that what he is proposing is rolling lockdowns, maybe like 3 months on, 3 months off, 3 months on, 3 months off. That's also a terrifying possibility. We need to get back to work as a country. We need to get back to work as a global community. We are shutting down entire countries. This is a really terrifying thing. And I'm not saying that the fears of the sickness aren't valid. Of course, COVID-19 is, at least from what I'm seeing in numbers and the media, it's an extremely deadly disease. But the devastation that will be caused because of us not working for up to a year and a half, that could be catastrophic on so many levels. We could see something like this affecting not only our country but other countries and lead us into a global depression for 15, 20 years. But we'll have to see. Hopefully everything gets better in a very short term. Okay, lastly, this is the craziest story I've heard. And I heard this last night, and I was visibly upset, okay? And why is nobody talking about this? I've searched news sites, and I've only been able to find it on Fox News, but according to a WHO official, we may have to enter homes and remove family members. This came in last night, April 7th. We may have to enter homes and remove family members? Why is Americans not absolutely livid over something being said like this? What happened to freedom? What happened to being American? What happened to being independent? If you're telling me that you're going to have to come in and grab a child, grab my grandmother, grab my mother from my arms, this will start riots. This will start, people. It's just a really scary thing. It's really scary. Something to think about. This is being said out there in the news, and if we're not saying anything about it, we are losing our opportunity to speak out. Just a thought. Okay, quickly. All right, to the lesson, right? That's what we're here for. We're here for the lesson. I wanted to teach you guys about how to become president, and I think most of this was covered in probably your high school civics courses, but there are some things that your high school civics courses didn't cover that I want to make sure that you guys have firm knowledge of it, all right? Because we are in a presidential election year, and we are going to be seeing these things, and I want you guys to be able to know when you're watching these debates and when you're seeing, why is this person up here versus any other person? Well, first of all, in order to become president, you have to be eligible, right? And we all know from our high school civics class that you have to be a U.S. citizen, you have to be born right here in the United States, and you also have to be 35 years old. But there's one other thing that your high school classes do not talk about, and that is you need lots and lots and lots of money. Not just anybody can be president. You have to either have money, like our current president, Donald Trump, or you have to be gifted, loaned, or be like donated millions and millions and millions of dollars. Now, a question that came up is like, what happens when you don't win the presidency and you have all this money? Well, technically, any campaign of a person running for president, they should be spending that money as soon as they get it. Usually, if you lose the campaign because you ran out of money. The person that outspends the other typically wins. But Something happened in 2016. Let's take a look at this. Okay, starting from about right here, you can see that the person that spent the most money in each of these campaigns won the race. Look at Obama. Obama spent nearly $1 billion on both of his campaigns. Hillary Clinton, though, tried to get as high as that, ended up spending right around $600 million. But look at Donald Trump. He won the race spending almost half as much as Hillary Clinton. So Donald Trump has not only bucked the trend that you need a lot of money to win the presidency, but he was so effective in speaking to people, garnering votes, and being extremely efficient with the money that he did spend. Hopefully we can see the costs of elections continue to drop. That would mean so many things for a lot of Americans. First of all, the dream of being elected into office could become real if we could see these prices of running an election drop, which is it's so important because we want that this is your America dream to still be alive and not just for the rich. Because if you're poor right now, you do not stand a chance. So the next step is you have to run in a primary. Now, you are running against members of your same party, which means that the politics get extreme. You start trying to be the most democratic Democrat. You try to be the most Republican-y Republican. And you're fighting against members of your own party, and you're trying to say, look, I'm the best Democrat, or I'm the best Republican. And so the issues that are being talked about often get to crazy things, in the Democratic primaries debates that we've seen thus far this year, they have been talking about Medicare for all. Where is this money coming from? We have no idea. And you'll see, though, even Biden has taken on this Medicare for all idea. But you'll see that when the general election comes, something interesting will happen. After the primaries comes the national convention. Now, typically, this is just one giant party, one symbolic giant party. There's lots of balloons. There's lots of 80s and 70s music. And everybody feels good about the candidate that they're around. You see everybody celebrating. Every once in a while, though, if the primary race remains really close, the national convention will be the place in which you determine who the candidate will be. That's very important. Make sure you write that down. The crazy thing is, with COVID-19, completely keeping us in our homes, Joe Biden has put out that he would like to see a virtual convention instead of all of us meeting together. This will be an interesting thing because this will never have happened in the entirety of the United States. Again, history is being made all around us, and this is something to keep in mind. Now, once you win your primary, you have your national convention, you are the candidate, then you run in the general election. Now, what you see here when it's you'll see this summer when it's Biden versus Trump, you're going to see the politics completely be watered down. They will be watered down. They are trying to not be as extreme anymore because they are trying to catch the median voter, which we'll come back to in just 2 seconds. Hey, Wes, why do we only have 2 parties? Oh, I can tell you that. The first answer is Duverger's law. Essentially, and this is real grad school stuff right here, but I want you to know it. Essentially, single-member districts in which we have right here in the United States, so only one person can win any one district, means that tends to produce 2 parties because it divides the public on divisive issues. What are divisive issues, you say? When we talk about the divisive issues, we are talking about wedge issues. I have listed a few of these here from 2016, dealing with race relations, reflecting your views on abortion. Let's see here, making wise foreign policy decisions. What about things like tax policy, gun policy? These things tend to divide the public into 2 groups, and which is why we have just 2 parties. The second answer is median voter theorem. Median voter theorem is essentially this, right? Because we know that hardcore Democrats are usually going to vote for the Democratic candidate, and hardcore Republicans are usually going to vote for the Republican candidate, we know that these voters are going to be there. So candidates don't typically care about them. They care about the people in the middle, trying to split them apart. And with that, that's all I have for you guys. Be sure to take the chapter quiz before Sunday at midnight. I will see you next week. Bye, guys.